Hi, I'm Dr. Charlene Walters, author, business and branding mentor, trainer, as well as your host for Launch, a business talk show for anyone who wants to launch their business, their career, or their life. Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Mark Chauppetta. Join us where we left off and enjoy the rest of our conversation on Launch. And you talked a little bit about this, but I want to hear more about your sons and the documentary you did and your charity, because I think it's all great stuff.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I mean, my charity is the Wheelchair Strong Foundation, and we raise money and awareness for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My twins are 26. They have Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. And, you know, we're pretty well documented family out there. If you just Google my last name or, the charity wheelchairstrong.com. It's, it's one of my passions. They were diagnosed at a young age, and it's been tough. It's been a, difficult road, but, sometimes you ask yourself, what if I didn't have this in my life? And then, I can't picture my life without it now. It's crazy, but
it seems that it's made you a stronger person, probably made you a better father, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I always felt from a young age, especially being adopted, that, that like I just really had this strong emphasis on family. And I saw the strong love that my parents gave me. These are two people that my mom didn't give birth to me. They got me at the five and dime, in 1969, and, and they had to love me like they gave birth to me, which they did. And I had that life. And I had two sisters who were also adopted. So the three of us were adopted, and, this crazy, insanely Happy Days-esque, white picket fence family growing up. And so I think that instilled a lot in me in my formative years. And then as I got older and I was curious about my background, for medical reasons with my twins, which I touched on, but also I wanted to see if there was anybody else out there that looked like me.
Right.
It's that weird thing that you wanted. Then when I found my biological mother and I found a biological sister, that filled a void in my life. Then I had my kids. I had my oldest daughter's 28, and she's a carrier of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So we're going through that process with her right now, because her and her husband are talking about having a family, but it's got to be done, in a non-conventional way.
Right.
So we're talking about that. And then my twins come around, and then they're diagnosed with this disease. And, and then that broke up my marriage, to my wife, my first wife. And that was, but we're great friends to this day, and we've, you work through shit, and
right.
But that's a huge, you're in your early 20s. Right. I was like, geez, I'm 52. I'm trying to think. I was 24 years old and 25 years old, and I was lugging around, a toddler girl with pigtails that I didn't know how to comb her hair, and screaming twin boys,
That's a lot. I know.
Right. And I'm like, I barely, I look like a baby myself. I always joke with them, like when they became a little like more manageable and cute, and we were out at the mall and I was single, I'm like, all right, I want you to call me Uncle Mark. Because the chicks love it. No, I'm kidding. It's like, oh, what a great uncle you are. No. But being a parent, to me, it's what I live for. It's what I've thrived for. And it just came really natural to me. And I probably credit my parents for that. So when they were diagnosed, it was a tough nut to swallow. Right. Had some dark times, which I still have to this day. And I decided just to be proactive in it. It was tough because with their disease, if you research it, Duchenne, Duchenne, it's a progressive muscle wasting disease. They start off looking healthy. They start tripping and falling. They get diagnosed. Then usually by the time they're 12, 13 years old, they lose ambulation. And then it just kind of steamrolls from there. Life expectancy back when they were diagnosed were late teens. It's a little older now, but my kids are 26
right.
And thriving. They're not ambulatory, and they're fully dependent on people for the most part, but way ahead of the curve as far as other kids I've seen in their community with the disease. And I think that's because from day one, when they went in wheelchairs, I said to myself, I'm not going to have two assholes in wheelchairs. All right. Meaning, meaning if they're being brats,
yeah,
and fresh or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to feel bad because they have a disease and not discipline them. They're going to be treated like anyone else because they're human beings.
Yes.
To me, they're not disabled. To me, they're my kids.
Right.
They're going to be disciplined. I'm not saying I threw them out of their wheelchairs or did anything bad, but
no.
But I always raised them that way, and I raised them to live with ability and not disability in their life. Just being disabled was kind of secondary. They were Troy and Andrew. They're human beings.
Right.
So they, I hoped, and I think they have led by example. They've been involved in things. They wanted to get a license at their permit at 15 and a half, 16 years old, whatever it is, they got their permit. They wanted to drive. I said, oh shit, you want to drive? How are we going to do that? Then being the investigator I am, we researched it. We found out how to buy a van, how to have it equipped with a joystick. Now they drive. They want to live independently. All right, how are we going to do that? So we figured it out, and we, and I think the what's the word I'm looking for? The empowerment that they get from all this, I think, and the karma that comes along with it, I think is better than any medicine you can put in their body.
Absolutely. They're so lucky to have you, and you've done so much for them. It's really amazing. And I hope everybody will check out your documentary. And I know you're working on a second.
Yeah, the first one's A Father's Fight, and it's about me. It's a couple years old, but it's really cool. And it's basically an hour of this with my kids. And I used to cage fight to raise money for my kids. So it's all kind of about that. But it's more about, our family. And the next one we're doing that's being edited is called Power, because I mentioned driving, I mentioned living independently. Well, my kids also were huge athletes and love sports. And then when they lost ambulation and they lost that ability to do competitive sports, it really put a void in their life and really affected me. So we looked into what can you do in the adaptive world. So then we found Power Wheelchair Soccer, which it features a little bit in my film.
I love that. Yeah, I watched that. It was so enjoyable to watch, and they're obviously doing very well in the sport, for sure.
Yeah, like I'm like, seriously, guys, did you have to be two of the best players in the United States of America? Now they're on Team USA.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now I got to drag their butts out to Indiana every 3 months to train. And I'm like, you're freaking kidding me, guys. But
that's the thing. When they do well in sports, you end up taking them more places. It kind of adds extra to your load, for sure.
Yeah, but I wear it. I wear it with pride. It's a labor of love, I guess. I guess if I didn't have them to bitch about, I wouldn't be happy.
I hear you.
But yeah, it's cool, and it's I don't know. I mean, life is crazy. Life passes you by quick, and you just got to take it and run with it every day and do the best you can and try to.
You're doing great. You're doing absolutely great. And you're also a TV host on this network. So I want to hear a little bit about your show. Tell the audience so they can check it out.
Yeah, it's the thanks to DB&A Television.
Yeah.
And it's called the On the Mark Show. And it's called Covert to Overt. I wonder why.
I don't know.
I'm the not so private eye.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know, it's just something I whipped together. It's an interview show. It's just my wacky personality with some industry guests, some celebrity guests, and that's about it. We'll see where it goes from there. I'm proud of the honor of being on the network and meeting yourself and a lot of other great, I think, people that share the same bug for Zoom.
Yes, we do have that bug. We do for sure. And I hope everybody will watch it because it is a cool show. I've been able to catch it.
1 a.m., I believe. I got stuck at the 1 a.m. time slot, but
Well, a lot of people can't sleep, and that's kind of interesting to watch at that time.
well, it's for 1 a.m. for insomniacs on the East Coast, and then 10 p.m. for those that are just going to bed on the West Coast,
Yeah,
and I
it's
guess
not too
11
bad.
p.m. in the Central time slot.
I don't really know what the ideal slot is, right? Like, when's a good time for everybody? There probably isn't one.
But now there's a on-demand feature coming up.
Yes.
Which is great, which I think is important. That way you can just kind of scroll through who you want to see or what interview might interest you. And yeah, it's exciting. And I got some cool guests, lined up in the near future. And I do a segment called Ask the Dick. It's I call myself the Dear Abby of Dicks, which I'll probably get sued for by Dear Abby's estate. So if you have any like PI questions, you can message me and I'll answer them. Or
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm sure a lot of people have questions out there that'll be interesting.
yeah, everyone calls me with it's weird. It's like a lot of people don't have friends that are private eyes.
Right. It's kind of like that attorney friend, right? So you get all the kind of questions that people need help with because everybody needs an attorney and probably a PI at times too.
Yeah, and that's who I hang out with. I hang out with lawyers, and for the most part, because that's my world. My world is
Right.
revolves mostly around different types of attorneys. But it's yeah, it's cool. So now I feel like I should flip the script and just interview you because like you're like so much more accomplished and
Well, I'm coming on your show, so it's going to be fun, right? We'll have to think about how we can spin it.
how we can, right? Yeah, I got to get you on and get you booked on my show, and we'll talk about all the cool things you have going on in your life and with your family and your endeavors and books and any advice you can give me as an investigator.
Advice as an investigator? Oh gosh. Well, I like to investigate too. I think, as an entrepreneur, I think there's probably going to be a lot of a pickup. I know you said people aren't researching, infidelity as much anymore, but I've got to think there's just a lot of craziness going on with the pandemic and people splitting up and weird happenings. So I think you'll be busy. That's my advice to you. Get ready.
Wasn't there supposed to be like an uptick in childbirth as well? Like
there was supposed to be, but I actually researched this because I'm working on another book. It actually was a bust. They were expecting this and people were waiting because they were scared to have kids during the pandemic, so they delayed it. So they actually think there'll be like a slight bump now as we're coming out, but it's not going to be as big as they expected and actually will have kind of an impact on our population numbers too. So it's really kind of interesting when you dig into it that people actually got nervous and didn't have as many babies as they
But
thought.
those are for responsible people. Like the majority of children that come into this world aren't typically planned,
Yeah, I guess you have an argument there. We'll see what happened. Could be some surprises.
Other, right? I think they spent too much time with each other. They just didn't want to go to bed with each other after that point.
And then that's why the divorces are up too, who knows?
Oh my God. Yeah. I have a ton of probate and family clients and they are up. It's crazy because I think people just got under each other's skin instead of the covers.
Exactly. A lot of turnover in the market, which as a single person, we like turnover in the market.
Right.
You never know what it'll bring.
That's a hard thing though. I had a client yesterday. I was at her house for that I helped on a particular probate and family case. And we had a Zoom hearing with the judge, and she was talking to me beforehand about when she gets through the closure of the situation with her soon to be ex, she wants to start dating again. And she's in her mid 40s and, and she's like, I don't go to bars. I don't want to do it online. And I'm like, well, then what, it doesn't really leave you many options other than like fix ups and, and things like that. And, I met my wife on a dating site. And,
good for you.
Yeah. But it was one of those deals where, she's 7 years younger than me, but we grew up in the same town.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then what we're doing is we're both investigating each other. Like I'm looking at her Facebook page, she's looking at my Facebook page. Who are our mutual friends?
Right. See, that's good. Yeah, I know. I think that's what it happens. We have such a digital footprint now that everyone's kind of looking at each other online first, kind of previewing the merchandise, I guess.
For people like, I don't know what your situation is, but if you said single, if my wife asked me at the time, she's like, tell me about yourself. And I was just kind of being cocky and joking. I go, just Google me. I go, if you don't like what you see, I think on my first date with my wife, I said, we talked a little bit, then we just met at like a local bar that we both knew from the town. And I was joking with her. I said, I knew this was going to happen. Like we were going to meet someday. I go, I remember you. I was a senior in high school. You were zipping by with the little pigtails, I was joking. I go, someday she's going to be she's going to be a wife of mine.
Oh,
He's like, that sounds creepy. You were in high school. I would have been in 6th grade.
sometimes I worry when people Google me that they might get too much information because I'm kind of everywhere. You know what I mean? Do you ever have that feeling?
Yeah, that's the same with me. And it's, when I ran into that problem real quick, that when I had done the Stern show, and I told this on another podcast, I was on the Stern show, then I did Howard TV. So there was the actual in-studio footage of me, and I went and did an undercover gig, and I totally got busted. The lady had called me after. I went in with a whole backstory and a fake name, and I was getting this information that I needed to get, and I thought I pulled it off perfectly. And then I got a phone call a few hours later from this person saying, I know who you are. I looked you up. I Googled you. I saw, I remembered you from the Stern show. Tell your client I'll see him in effing court. I'm like, all right, I've made that crossover in my profession. I can't do undercover work anymore, because I can't jeopardize a client or a case. So now I can only really work on things where people will actually know me. But yeah, and then I have my charity, and I put my kids out there, and my kids are, pictures are out there but it's advocacy, I guess, it is a tough thing because some people are very private and don't like that side of things. And
Right.
I don't know. I got nothing to hide. I'm an open book. So like you can Google away and you can follow me, or you could do whatever. I'm up at 4, I go to the gym, and I'm in bed by 8:30. And in between, I'm usually in my office or running errands for my kids.
Agreed. That's me too. I'm working really, really hard, or I'm hanging out with my kids, and once in a while I'm with my friends, but that's pretty much it. It's not,
It's not as sexy as people want to think it is, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right. So, hey, but yeah, it's been fun. Like you're super cool. And you said you're in the Carolinas, right?
Yeah, definitely Charlotte, North Carolina. So
How's
that's
the
right.
weather?
It's been okay. It's been kind of rainy and overcast the last couple days, but it was nice. It's been nice, up and down, up and down. Can't complain. Summerish.
You have a beautiful backdrop.
Yes.
It looks very. I'm sitting at my desk in my office. You can see right there. That's a picture up there over my shoulder. Picture of me and when I had hair with John Travolta.
Oh, cool.
Doing his security for a Scientology gig, and
that's amazing.
Yes, had the opportunity to meet some cool people in my
John Travolta would be definitely cool. I'm sure he's a lot of fun. He seems like he would be kind of a blast to hang out with no matter what.
He was fun. Yeah, he was definitely a cool guy. And I've come across Cruz a few times back when I was doing work for them. He was, again, I don't judge people. Like it is what it is. I mean, if
Right.
someone's nice to me on the surface, then
yes, I feel the same.
I try to just kind of, I hate when people get in your ear or say this person's this or that person's this. Like, let me formulate that opinion for myself. And if I think they're an ass, then
Then yeah, you don't have to hang with them, right?
Right, yeah, absolutely. So cool. Any other questions?
Sure, yes. I have one little quick game I like to play with everyone who comes on my show. It's called If You Tell Me Yours, I'll Tell You Mine. You ready to play?
Sure.
Okay.
I was thinking something else, but
what takes a lot of time but is totally worth doing?
What takes a lot of time but's totally worth doing? Oh boy. I mean, something I'm used to, which is, well, I don't want to give that answer. It takes a lot of time in my own personal life.
Yes. Or business or whatever, but
I mean, it takes certainly not my appearance, because I already went over that earlier. That takes seconds. It takes a lot of time, believe it or not, to do things with my sons.
Yes.
Lots of times if you have teenagers, you want to get up and go somewhere and do something, you just do it.
Right.
And but then when you have disability in your life, all right, so if I want to go out and just go for a stroll with my kids, now it requires a lot more, getting them ready and getting them dressed or getting them toileted and then getting them in a vehicle, then traveling somewhere and then playing dad, playing nurse. But it's always worth it because they're my kids and I'm used to it. It's second nature. So that's kind of a lame answer.
No, it's a good answer. Mine is more shallow, I'd say. I was going to say, working out is totally worth it. You don't want to do it. It takes a lot of time, but if you stick with it, you feel so much better. You look so much better.
What do you do for working out? You're clearly fit.
So yeah, I do like a half an hour of something every day, like rowing machine or walking or just something. And then I also kind of do some weight training a few times a week. I like to do it 3 times, but lately, I don't know, this summer I've been lazy and it's been like twice a week.
See, my wife just started doing, spin class. It's like
okay, yeah, that's fun too. Definitely. Those are great.
And when she's like, doesn't want to do it, if she comes home from work and it's at night, I'm like, don't come home from work. And I go, your problem is you're coming home from work and you're sitting down. She's like, well, I've been on my feet all day. You sit on your ass at work and you work on cases and I'm running around like a crazy nurse. I go, but I'm telling you, don't come home and sit down because then your body is going to check out. Just keep moving, put your yoga pants on and get your butt to the class. Then sit down.
Next question. If you were an ice cream flavor, what would you be?
I'm certainly not vanilla, but my favorite ice cream has always been black raspberry.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love black raspberry ice cream.
A little different. I would probably be chocolate chip, which is a little boring, but with a little something extra, right?
So you're boring, but then you have a little, then once in a while you get a little crunch.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I work hard and then I like to have fun too. So it's a mixture of both,
All right. That's cool.
If you could pick up a skill instantly, any skill, what would it be?
Skill. Oh my God. Just probably like carpentry because I suck at it.
Oh, that would be a good one.
I try to be handy, but I'm a good landscaper, but a hammer and nails, I could probably, we have a country home and, I pay people to do stuff and it just.
Yeah, I have no skills. Right? No, I have no skills there for sure. And you know what my worst thing is? I hate to sit and read instructions. If there's something to put together or do, I kind of outsource it to my kids. So I'd get better at that. Just having more patience and learning to really kind of digest things, I think.
That's a good one, patience, because I have no patience when it comes to putting stuff together. And now what I do is go to YouTube because my kids taught me how to do that.
Yeah.
Because you can't even understand the directions that come with stuff, especially if it's from IKEA or somewhere.
Right. Next question. Have you ever locked yourself out of the house?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Lots of times. Yeah. I'm wicked absent-minded. It's sometimes I call myself the Barney Fife of private investigators. Remember Barney Fife who had the one bullet in his pocket?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll be looking for my glasses when they're on my head. I'll be holding my cell phone when it's in my hands.
Yeah, the phone, I always do that. I'm walking around with, where's the phone? Where is the phone?
Yeah, so I've locked myself out of the house and I've had to, crawl through windows and do things like that. Lucky, I don't have neighbors, so no one's called the 5-0 on me.
Good, yeah. I actually locked myself in the house once. It was when we first moved in. We have an older house. I have these kind of antique doorknobs. And my daughter and both of my daughters and one of my daughter's friends, we had just moved here, it was a new friend. They're all in a room and they're saying the door keeps getting stuck. I'm like, no, it's not. And I walk in with them. I closed the door and locked us all in their bedroom, couldn't get out, no tools in there. So I ended up having to climb out on the roof As like we like lowered a sheet down, the little girl that we don't know, she's crying, I'm never gonna see my parents again. My kids are both like, oh mom, be careful. They're like, so I'm going down this sheet, and then finally I get to the driveway and they're all like, yeah. And luckily one of the doors was unlocked. Otherwise I would have been just locked out too.
I look like I was breaking in, and you look like you were breaking out from a murderer.
I know, crazy. Okay, last question.
Yes.
How long would you survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh boy. Zombie apocalypse.
Yes.
Probably a long time, because I can be kind of badass. You know, I'm a trained fighter, a weapons expert. Like I think when I watch The Walking Dead, and when I have common sense, I think that's the key when it comes to zombies.
Could be, I don't know. I think I would be done like within the first 5 seconds. I'd go up to someone talking and not realize they're a zombie, and then they'd eat me, and then it'd be all over. So probably 2 seconds in the zombie.
I need my kids with me too, because like that's as you saw in my film, which I won't give away, I went on a television show that didn't last very long because I got massive anxiety from being away from my kids. So it's
I definitely don't want to get separated from your kids, for sure.
Unless they became zombies, and then I would have to come to that grips where I'd have to make a decision. What do I do? Do I keep them locked up, or do I have to put them out of their misery?
That would be a hard choice.
Yeah, my kids asked me when the show was on if they could, and I actually reached out to the people in Atlanta, but I never heard back from them. They wanted to be extras in The Walking Dead, because they didn't see any zombies in like wheelchairs.
Oh yeah.
So the Walking Dead wasn't ADA compliant. I go, but I don't know, if you became a zombie, then are you going to rise up out of your wheelchair and be able to walk again?
I think so. Right? I don't know.
That's what we thought. So, so.
That's what I would think. I don't know. That makes sense to me.
I would think so. Yeah. And then, if it was a zombie apocalypse, my kids have power wheelchairs. We'd have to find a manual ones, because then they wouldn't have anywhere to plug them in, because there's no electricity.
Oh, bummer. Well, yeah, that's complicated. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. I just went off on a tangent on your question, but
sidetracked. It's okay. So anyways, we're coming to the end here. So where can the audience find out more about you, Mark? It's been a lot of fun hearing all this, but I want them to be able to get some more.
I have a website, markchauppetta.online. So my name's MarkChauppetta.online. Remember, PP, 2 P's, 2 T's. And there's a lot of stuff on me. There's links to my detective agency. There's links to my charity. There's all kinds of cool crap that I've done, and some links to some TV shows I've done over the years and things like that. So.
Awesome. So everybody, please check it all out. And until then, we'll see you next time on Launch.